following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
Who's a candidate for the Justice of the Peace in Webb County. Good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
Doing great, doing great. I'm
That's
just
good.
enjoying everybody and all the energy just going around. How's your campaign coming along?
It's coming along very well. I've been energized by people that I've gone out to. I've hit the pavement. I've gone, knocking on doors, asking for support, asking for votes, and it's been very, very good.
What do you see people talking about when they tell you, oh, you're the candidate? I would like this to happen in my precinct. What do you hear?
I hear various things. Amongst them is we want a real change there. We want someone that knows what's going on. We want to know we want someone there who knows how a court is run, what is a judge supposed to do, and someone who knows the law.
Right. And there's a lot of changes in the laws coming of age, right?
A lot of changes, and it's going to affect a lot of people.
Right now the limit is 10,000, but I think it's right now decisive.
One of the major changes, of course, is coming up on the 10,000 is going up to 20,000, meaning that people who get sued, or you can sue someone if the amount is up to 20,000. That's double the amount. You have to consider this court started out with a $500 limitation, and now they're going to be up to 20,000. But that's not the most important change. I think the most important change is the turnover statute. Now the Justice of the Peace is going to have the authority to issue an order, ordering people to turn over non-exempt property to a judgment creditor. In other words, you owe money, there's a judgment. Now they can go to court and say, Judge, here's an order, you need to sign it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go pick up property that is not exempt. That's a big, big difference in the law.
Absolutely, because before you couldn't, you can just...
You got a judgment
and that was it.
And you abstracted it, and then you have to go a different route. Now the Justice of the Peace would have that jurisdiction.
Now, let's say you had a judgment, say 10, 15 years ago. Can you come back to the court and say,
yes,
I want to collect now?
You can if you have kept that judgment. You have to abstract a judgment. That means you have to record it in the county clerk's office, and they're valid for 10 years. In other words, every 10 years you have to revive that judgment. You have to go in there and say, I'm abstracting it again. Get a certified copy of your judgment and go abstract it, and it's valid for every 10 years. Yes, any judgment is subject to a turnover if you ask for it.
Okay, so for example, you have a person that went to court in 2004 or 2003, whatever, right? And all of a sudden they say, well, you have a judgment for this much. And nobody did anything. Now with this new law, can they go back to the district court and re-abstract it? Or was that already voted?
I think you can, and it would be up to the other party to say, wait a minute, this judgment is not good. But you can abstract a judgment at any time.
Okay, and that's that right there is going to change a lot of things going on, because you're going to have a lot of insurance companies coming after people.
Oh,
and
definitely.
You're going to be jumping
I
on
think
board.
the major difference is going to be now that this jurisdictional amount is greater than 10,000, going to be 20,000. in the debt collection claim cases. Insurance companies, even mortgage companies, because mortgage companies can go and foreclose if the jurisdictional amount is less than what it is. I mean, it's less than the maximum amount. So if you owe, for example, a loan company or a mortgage company $20,000 or less, they can come and foreclose and ask for a foreclosure in that court. And that is a very technical area of the law, that you must follow the letter of the documents. So it's very important that whoever is a judge knows exactly what they're doing. There's another major change, and that is the receivership. Receiverships are persons appointed by the court. Say, you go and look for this person's property that you can levy or that you can execute. Example, somebody owes you money, they don't want to pay you, you know that they have money, you know that they're receiving, for example, royalties, rents, things like that that are tangible that you can get, but you can't get it because the bank is not going to give you information as to whether that person that owes you money it has money at that bank, but you know that they do. So you ask the judge to appoint a receiver. That receiver gets paid a percentage of the money that they collect. That's how receivers get paid.
Sure.
And so that receiver has the authority of the court to go and ask the banks, to ask anyone that might have property belonging to the person or the company that owes you money. And that's a very powerful tool to have, a very powerful right
Absolutely.
that you have in order for you to collect money from whoever owes you money.
And these laws change because I'm trying to understand the JP court. You had a lot of counties, and that's the only court that's in the county. So they had to raise it up because basically that's the only thing that they have, you know. The district court was miles away, so.
You still have in the state of Texas counties that, you know, the district courts are in one of the counties, and it has jurisdiction over several counties. And then you would have the county judge having the right or the power to hear, for example, probate matters. And that is still so in Zapata County. And so you don't have your county court at laws, but you have your county judge. And likewise, you have your justice of the peace, which would be the only court available. For example, in a community like San Ignacio, you have a justice of the peace there, and that's what you have. And then the district court is in Zapata. So you would basically rely on your justice of the peace. And I think that's why increasingly they have been given more jurisdiction.
Absolutely.
And also to alleviate, to a certain extent, the backlog in your county courts or your district courts. Because now, really, you're going to be able to go to a justice of the peace court and have a more speedy turnover of your cases.
Absolutely. But it's also going to change a little bit because now the JP courts are going to have a lot more manpower, right?
Right now, this court that I'm running for is a court that has 8 people that are in there, and they take care of all the civil cases, all the truant cases, traffic cases, and there are justice of the peace courts here that have 12, 14. I don't know if it's dependent on the judge asking for more money, more personnel, or if it depends on your caseload. But it's got a pretty heavy caseload, so I would imagine that we would be able to ask for more personnel.
Absolutely, because that's the thing here. Here we have 4 justices of the peace, correct? In what county?
We
Or
have
5?
more than 4. We have 2 in South Laredo,
Sure.
and we have 2 in this area for
Right.
precinct 1, and we have 1 in the Quad City,
Yes.
and that's Mirando, Bruni, and then we have one up north, and that's Judge Salinas.
Salinas. So basically five.
We have six justices of the peace.
And that's good. And you're running for justice of the peace, precinct one, place one.
Yes. What that means really is just that precinct one had enough population, enough cases to merit two justices of the peace rather than just one. And they're both downtown Laredo.
Good, great. Besides that, we always talk about truancy.
Yes.
Truancy is one of the issues that your court will handle, right?
Yes. And I think in truancy, the most important thing, and this is from talking to people that have done truancy, in other words, truant officers, talking to administrators that handle the truancy cases, their main concern is that the judge that is in charge of a particular truant case or truant cases, that they're able to process that case as expeditiously as possible, because you do have some time restraints. In other words, if they file a truancy case, you must make a determination within a certain period of time. Otherwise, you have to dismiss it. So that defeats the purpose, because really taking them to court is the last resort for the school district. And so they want to make sure that the judge follows up on the cases, that you do follow up on whatever conditions you place on the truant child. In other words, if you set them up to go to, for example, tutoring classes, because they might be failing and because they were behind, then they want to make sure that that judge is going to follow up on whatever the plan is, follow through, so that that person reincorporates into the school and doesn't miss out and fails for the year.
Absolutely. And that's very important, because we do have problems within every, and there's a lot of different reasons, but the truancy is something that we need to be very vigilant on.
And the school district is very concerned about who gets to be the judge, because it's in their interest that they have someone that is concerned, first of all, for the child, but is also concerned about what effects it has on the school district. And so they want someone that is willing to work hard, is willing to listen to the cases, and is willing to dispose of them as fast as you can, so we reincorporate this child into the classroom.
What would you say is kind of the percentage of all the cases that go through that court? Would it be more truancy, more levying of property, or small business, or it's a little bit of everything?
Actually, it's the small claims. Actually, it's your debt collection, because remember, in debt collection, you're talking about all these credit card companies, including, if you owe a credit card, if you owe the hospital, if you owe your car, if you owe any kind of debt that you might have out there, normally those companies go to a justice of the peace court, because they're able to do things through paperwork. In other words, they're able to file a claim, and they'll serve you, they'll give you notice, you don't answer, default. But that's where it makes a difference who the judge is. In other words, my experience as a practicing attorney is I have to make sure that that company really dotted their I's and crossed their T's. If you're not familiar with the process, if you're not familiar with the rules, the civil rules of procedure, you're not going to know if that company did it right or not. And you might be giving them default judgments when you shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And so those companies could literally get away with really the debtor not owing them what they say they're owed. You have to remember that a lot of these companies are assigned, they buy this debt.
Paperwork,
In other words, they go 50 cents on the dollar. You owe, for example, American Express, or whatever credit company.
Credit card, right.
A credit card company. And then they say, oh, well, she owes me $10,000. But I'm going to sell it to this other company for 50 cents on the dollar, if that much. Sometimes it's really like 10 cents on the dollar. And they might not have the backing, the paperwork to prove that you owe them $10,000. Of course, they're not going to collect 10 cents on the dollar. They're trying to collect 100%.
Sure.
So you have to be very careful. I mean, as a practicing attorney and knowing the process and knowing what the requirements are, then I would be able to look at a case and say, wait a minute, you're not entitled to a default judgment. And you can require those companies to come in person and say, wait a minute, the affidavit you filed is not complete, it doesn't prove the case, this person is here and they want to know why it is that you're saying that they owe you so much money.
Absolutely.
And remember, it's up to 20,000 now.
So it's gonna grow. It's gonna hinder a lot of people. You're gonna see a lot of people that didn't think they were gonna go to court. You're gonna start seeing them go to court.
And now with the right to a turnover and the right for a receivership, then it's no longer, oh well, they got a judgment against me, there's nothing they can do. It'll stay on the record and I can't pay it.
Right.
Now literally those companies are gonna say, sign this turnover order so that I can go look for what this person has and owns that is not exempt from being for a judgment to be executed on.
Absolutely.
So they'll be looking for you, and they'll be looking to property that under the Constitution is not protected. And I think that's where it makes a difference on who the judge is.
So you literally need somebody that's experienced with the law
Exactly.
to be able to be running it.
You don't want to have a backlog of 3,000 cases. I mean, you want to be able to expedite them, and of course, expedite them. What I mean by that is just, there's a process and there's deadlines, and you can hear those cases, and just do them. Don't let them stay behind, and then all of a sudden you're forced to. When elected, my priority would be to have what I call a dismissal docket. Let me look at everything that's backlogged, and let me see why it hasn't been disposed of. If somebody didn't get served, those are ripe for dismissal. If 2 or 3 years have passed and that company hasn't done anything to get the defendant served, obviously it shouldn't be pending.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of weeks, for early vote.
Actually, we have less than 2 weeks for early vote. Starts February the 18th.
Oh, that's right, we're in February.
And ends on the 28th, and then the general election is on the 3rd
Of March.
And like I said, we've been knocking on a lot of doors, talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people have really said, you're the first one that comes and asks me for my vote, so I will vote for you because you came and knocked on my door and asked for my vote.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I
Thank
know
you.
it's hard work going out there and walking the streets and everything else, but you have to do it.
It's hard work, but that's what needs to be done. You need to go out and you need to listen. And that's the other thing people have asked. If I vote for you, will you listen to my case? And I said, that's what I can promise you. I promise to listen to your case and to make a decision that is fair and just.
Absolutely, that's what we need. So we got anything else you'd like to tell the folks
I
out there?
would just like to remind everyone to go out and vote. And of course, if you live in Precinct 1, and Precinct 1 is all the way from the river to Ejido, up north of Market Street, up to Belmont area, please vote for Maria Elena Morales. I have the right experience that will count in this court. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Counselor. And folks out there, remember, exercise your right to vote. Early vote isn't 2 weeks away. And make your best choice. Study. Until next time, peace.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.